well above where it was when President Biden took office. It was well under $3 a gallon. And so you've got the White House now coming out, Jen Psaki hammering it home today. The Putin price hike, the Putin price hike. What they're not talking about is the inflation that they set off before this even started overseas, and also the gas prices that were rising as a result of President Biden's policies.
Yeah, there was about a 57% increase in the price of a gallon of gas between the time Joe Biden took office and the time he, the war started, or just weeks before the war. And only about a 17 or 18% of the increase after is attributable to the war. So to suggest that this is all Putin's fault, I mean, look, Putin is a vile human being who is committing war crimes. I get that. But the current supply issues in oil is not the company's fault. Look, at this price, they want to sell every bit of oil they can. And it's stupid, and just shows how stupid economically and business-wise these Democrats are. And it's not, it is absolutely not Putin's fault. The vast majority of the oil, the price elevation in gas is Joe Biden's fault. Their attack on American energy, period.
And speaking of, gas prices rising, we've also got an inflation issue in this country. Prices rising 7.9% in February, year over year. We're going to get a new print on inflation tomorrow, and the expectation is it will be 8.5% year over year. Yet this White House continues to point the finger at everybody else, as it's spending money, printing money, asking for more money, instead of saying we had something to do with this.
Yeah, the Democrats and the bills that they've passed in response to COVID, billions of dollars, which, by the way, haven't even been spent yet, but all that cash flooded into the economy and created, when you have more money and less goods, and that's a supply chain issue also caused by the Democrats, then you're going to get inflation. More money chasing a fixed or reduced amount of goods equals inflation. And this is squarely in their court.
All right, let's switch gears for a moment and focus on the president himself, his response to what's happening with Russia's invasion of Ukraine. No plans from this White House to have President Biden visit Ukraine anytime soon. The deputy prime minister there is now calling Biden out on that, essentially saying that he should have gone when he traveled to Europe last month. So there's, a segment of this country that is saying that, it's losing respect on the world stage because of Biden's lack of action right now. Your thoughts?
Yeah, I think the president should go now. I mean, back when that reference happened, Kyiv was being besieged, and I'm okay with him not going then. My big issues with the State Department during World War II, as London was being bombed. I mean, our State Department stayed in London throughout the Battle of Britain and never left. But I'm going to tell you, just weeks before the Russians even invaded, our State Department abandoned Ukraine. My issue is more with Anthony Blinken than it is with the president on this, although now the president should go. I mean, he probably should have gone this week, should have beat Boris Johnson there. But back, several weeks ago when the Russians were assaulting Kyiv, I'm okay with Biden not going then.
Mm-hmm. Well, I mean, his lack or inability to travel to Ukraine sort of reminds me of Kamala Harris and the border. I mean, we're still waiting for her to go check things out. But as you mentioned, British Prime Minister Boris Johnson, he made this surprise visit over the weekend to Ukraine. He sent this message essentially to the rest of the world. And the defense minister there saying, this is what democracy looks like. This is what courage looks like. And the Ukrainians right now are, continuing, and Zelensky is continuing to beg NATO and the United States for weapons, for things it needs, the tools it needs to continue to fight Russia. And yet their hands are tied to a certain extent.
Yeah, no doubt. The real leadership, differential was shown when Joe Biden asked Zelensky if he wanted a ride. Does that mean that Joe Biden would have wanted a ride if America was besieged by an enemy? I mean, why would he even ask that question? And of course, we all know President Zelensky's amazing response, "I don't need a ride, I need ammo." That quote, by the way, will echo for decades and decades into the history books, while Joe Biden's fecklessness for not wanting, for even asking the question will as well. And it unfortunately sets America up, especially with the Prime Minister of England going and our president not going. Our president is not leading.
Congressman Mark Green, thank you for joining us tonight. Good to see you.
Thanks.